What's going on, Soul Fam, and welcome to Mira D Tarot. I am Mira D here today with your full moon in Scorpio reading for May the 7th of 2020. To all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for being here. To all of my old subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. And to anyone who's new to this channel, checking out this video, if you like what you see, please subscribe down below for new moon, full moon videos with accompanying meditations. All right, so I'm going to get straight into the energy of this new moon. This full moon. This full moon is in Scorpio, and Scorpio, as we all know, is one of the most dreaded signs that comes up when we're dealing with releasing energy. So Scorpio causes us to dig down into the depths of ourselves, the subconscious patterns, the things that really stand in the way, the things that can't be seen. The sign of Scorpio is very unafraid to step into these depths, to deal with death and regeneration and the deep parts of the occult and things like that. The subconscious mind, the things that are hidden. The Scorpio is the sign of walking into the shadows. Now, I'm not saying that the sign of Scorpio is a scary sign or anything like that. I'm just saying that these parts of reality are the parts of the shadow self, are the parts that most of us are afraid of, that most of us are afraid to delve into, and that our society kind of like blocks away from us. So this is going to be, the full moon's energy is going to be about purging those deep shadows. As I said, with the Taurus new moon that just passed for us, with the Taurus new moon, we were kind of putting the last finishing touches on whatever it is that we're moving into next here in this paradigm and whatnot, and this is the final purge. This is the final clearing of everything that needs to go for us to step into the new paradigm. So all the clearing and cleansing that we've been doing over the past 6 or 7 months, past couple years, I really feel like the past 6 or 7 months has been like the most prominent. This has really been like since the last Scorpio new moon, which was back in October. We've kind of been really going through it, really clearing out some things and really getting ourselves in order, kind of breaking away from old habits and stepping into our true and highest self, stepping away from this old paradigm of working the 9 to 5 and stepping into this aspect of how can we serve the world and then thereby serve ourselves. So with this Scorpio full moon, we are releasing anything that stands in the way of our intuition, anything that stands in the way of our inner compass, anything that stands in the way of our true path and who we are. This includes digging in the deep. Like I said, it's part of what this full moon is about. So even without, and this is unconsciously doing so too, things are going to come up. There are going to be triggers. There are going to be things that kind of bring light to parts of yourself that maybe you've identified with as personality, but that might actually be the result of trauma or the result of some type of upbringing that you had and things like that. And so that is what this Scorpio full moon energy is going to bring. So really over the next week or so, expect to see a lot of like light being shined on these parts of yourself that you consider like the dark side. Why are you angry? Where does this anger come from? Why don't you like yourself? Where does this come from? Where did you hear that from? Who taught you these things? Where does this habit come from? Why do you date the people that you do? Why do you make the decisions? Why don't you believe in yourself the way you know? Or why do you think that this is the way that life is supposed to be? Is this something that is naturally you, or is this something that was given to you? This is going to be the cold hard face of the Scorpio moon, but it is such a blessing to be welcoming this part and this energy into your life, though, because after this final clearing, again, there's no more time to wait. This is go time, and you're going to be able to walk this world in your full true highest self and in your full true highest energy. And with that, you're going to feel amazing, you're going to feel confident, and you're going to be able to give the world and serve the world in the way that your soul truly came here to do so. So we also have, with the rest of the planets, still a couple planets in Capricorn. Pluto, the planet of death and destruction, which rules Scorpio, is still hanging out in Capricorn, which is the sign of career, the sign of business, the sign of building things in this world that are solid and are going to last beyond our lifetime. So this is, again, our purpose. And our purpose doesn't have to be something that's necessarily physical. You can look at people like Dr. Martin Luther King or other great leaders of the past and see how they have left a tangible mark here on this world without having to do anything, without having to leave anything necessarily physical, like a building or a large sum of money. Their impact came from the soul. Their impact came from their deeds and what they did and how they influenced and changed this world. Every single person in this world has the capability to do so, and the way that you do that is not by focusing on how many views you're going to get, or not by focusing on like how big you can get. It's focusing on being who you are, putting that into the world, and then inspiring others, even on what we consider a small scale. That's just our own kind of mindset that tells us that this is a small scale or this is a large scale. The universe doesn't know any small or large scales of anything. Things are just happening and things are just creating together. And so when we look at that aspect of things, you may influence one single person in this world, and that person could go on to influence millions, and you don't get to sit there and say, oh man, well, I didn't get to influence millions, because by proxy, yes, you did get to influence millions, because if it wasn't for your part in the puzzle of that person to put the final piece together, they wouldn't have been able to influence either. And so we have to kind of step away from this egoic aspect of things where we feel like we need the recognition blatantly. We need to be famous. We need to step away from these ideas that have been handed to us and everything, because the whole purpose here, y'all, is to change the world, and not change the world in the way of like we're superheroes and we're something big and mighty. All of us, by being ourselves, has the capability to change the world. And that's basically all it is. We make this whole purpose thing so big and we blow it so out of proportion. But in reality, in the end of things, like, it really just comes down to us just being ourselves and affecting the thing next to us and affecting the person next to us, and just the cause and effect rollover. So with Pluto, the death and destruction, it is the death and destruction of the old way of business, the old way of career, and the old way of how we service the world, what we're putting here and everything. So that's been breaking down. You can check out some of my older videos if you would like to get into more of the details and aspects of how Pluto is affecting us here in Capricorn. We also still have Jupiter in Capricorn as well. So our expansion, our luck, our wishes, our the things that we're putting into this world and stuff are going to come through continuing to move toward that which makes us feel purposeful, not toward chasing the dollar, but not even chasing, but just living what it is that makes us feel purposeful. And that's where our luck is going to come in. If you're feeling like, you want to do something, just put your mind to it, and things will start to fall into place, as long as you're working toward the soul purpose and not toward the worldly kind of like paradigm that we've been given, this kind of programming that we have about what it means to be successful. Earl Nightingale said, as I was listening to earlier, that success is doing whatever it is that you love. If your goal in life was to become a housewife and have 3 kids, and you do that, and you're good at it and you're happy with it, then that is success. If your goal is to become the best gardener, if that's been your dream, and that's what your dream is to become the best gardener in the world, then that is success to you. Success is not about the financial aspect of it, and success is not about the success is not, unless that is your goal, and that's the thing, is that we have this false idea of what success is roaming around here in this world, and everything is like, I have to get the job and the car and the house and the wife and the kid. And usually when we get those things, we find ourselves super miserable. We find that this is not meaningful because it's not coming from the soul. This is not our purpose. This is a purpose that was given to us by someone else, So when we're living from the soul, that's when we find happiness. So find and define your version of success. I am going to post a meditation on that and on the undoing as well, here in just a couple days. So going on to the rest of the planets, so I can get into the tarot aspect of this, we have Venus is still hanging out in Gemini. So this is finding new ways to communicate. This is finding new ways to speak, to communicate in love, recognizing our communication styles in love, figuring out how we can understand better in love, and how we can use communication, and not just verbal communication, but different manners of communication, to be able to deepen our connection with our lover, with ourselves, or with future lovers, and to recognize these patterns. So we get this impression that language is, and that communication is just me speaking to you, but we have so many different flavors of language, if you will. So we've got, in its infinite amounts of now, we've got verbal communication, we've got, body language. You can feel when somebody is in a certain way. They're communicating that to you too. You can feel when somebody is in a bad mood. So we need to so we're learning how to expand beyond just the verbal communication aspect and move ourselves into the aspect of communication. Speaking of communication, where we are, able to recognize many other ways and deepen our connections with the things and people around us through those things. We also have Saturn in Aquarius and Who else is in Aquarius right now? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Mars is in Aquarius. Okay, so we also have Saturn and Mars hanging out in Aquarius. And Aquarius is a sign of friendships and humanity. So this is our service. So with the planet of responsibility moving into Capricorn, we know that our responsibility is now to the collective. It's now to humanity, as I've been talking about this whole time. And then with Mars there, our aggressions and our passions and those things are to be channeled into how we're going to shift this, and put these things into the world. So what are you passionate about? What things are you passionate about that can help other people? What things are you passionate about that are truly you? And when it comes to aggression, we look at aggression as like this negative thing, but aggression is a driving force. Aggression is pushing us towards something. And you can also use, if you do look at aggression in the same manner as anger, you can also use anger as the fuel for change. How are you willing to change things? What things in this world are you so sick of that you just can't stand anymore? We can get into that mode and we can get real depressed about how messed up the world is and all that stuff, or we can start to make those changes in ourselves and start to inspire people. We don't want to force anybody to do anything, but we want to walk in such a way, change ourselves, work on ourselves, grow within ourselves, and walk in such a way that people become curious about what it is that you're doing and how it is that you do these things in this world. Oh my God, how did you just seem to always have the best luck. What do you do? Your skin seems to be glowing. And when people see that, because when you force people and you try to make people do something, they become defensive because you're threatening their reality. So the key is to become, in and of yourself, a person that is able to walk in such a way without trying that people become curious about how to change themselves and how to do these things within themselves and how to work on themselves. So that's the whole thing right now. Mercury is hanging out in Mercury is hanging out in, moving on out of Pisces right now. So we're still dealing with a lot and into all right, and moving out of Pisces and into Aries. So we're finishing up, clearing up on some old karmic type stuff and everything that happened with things that we said, ways that we've communicated before and everything. So we're really kind of rehashing those things, like I said, with Venus, looking at these old ways, and in just regular life as well, that we communicate, that we move, and we're moving into finding new ways and new beginnings. As I said earlier, y'all, we're moving into a new paradigm, and the old world, especially with all this pandemic stuff going on, even if we do go back to our regular jobs and things like that, the world is not ever going to be the same. This is the shift that has been one of many shifts that has been waiting to happen and things like that. And so now it is time for us to start cleaning up, clearing up, and that is what the Scorpio moon is bringing to us. So I'm going to go ahead and step into the tarot aspect of this, so hang tight. All right, family, welcome to the tarot portion of this report today. I have a few decks of cards here with me. So we've got the Hermetic Tarot, which is based on Hermetic principles, and on the Thoth deck, it's a black and white deck, pretty cool. I read with that sometimes. Then we are going to be working with today the Thoth deck here, which is based on ancient Egyptian magic and Hermetic principles, and then I'll be pulling a card from the Native Healing Oracle as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with shuffling the cards, and today we are going to pull an energy for what is grounding us, what needs to be released, and our subconscious influences, okay? So grounding point, release, and subconscious influences. This is going to help to guide us a little bit easier into our energies and what's going on, and how we can be prepared for these energies and use them to our best ability. Alrighty. Okay, so where we are at this current moment, the Hermit. So we've been spending a lot of time alone, spending a lot of time focusing on ourselves. A lot of inner work has been happening. So in our position at this moment, this is definitely a time to be spending time with yourself, not just hanging out with yourself and watching TV and things like that. This is the time for introspection and really figuring out what's going on within yourself, figuring out what your truth is, getting in touch with your own vibration, your natural vibration, without the stickiness of other people's stuff all around you and things like that. So we've really been in a position of the inner work. So one of the biggest things, and what I'm getting right now and what's coming through for me, is that one of the biggest things right now is to just allow yourself to be alone, allow yourself to be with you, and that this energy and it being alone right now is going to be what helps to power you through this full moon energy, because you're going to start to recognize in these silent moments the things that need to be pulled up, and the things that need to be cleansed out, and the things that need to be addressed that are happening here in your life right now. So we have the devil coming up as well here. The Thoth deck also does not do reverse cards. So in our grounding position, we have the devil coming up. So to quote the Journey song, break those chains that bind you. Like, that's what's going on right here. So with the devil, we're breaking the chains that bind us. This is in our grounding. So this is in our grounding position. So what the devil represents is our old thought processes, our old patterns, habits, addictions, like things that we're shameful of, things like that hold us into a position, of not being able to move forward. Whether that's your dad's voice back in the day telling you, oh, you can't do this thing, like, you have to go to school and get a good job, and like, things like that, and understanding that the guidance was not personal, that was only from his reality, that he could coach you, and so we have to understand that the things that happen to us, and it is very difficult for a lot of us, because some of these events were traumatic, and when things hit us in a place of trauma or stick to us in an emotional way, we tend to have trouble letting those go, because those things are deeply, deeply rooted. So we have to realize that moment is gone, that we are adults now, and that we are when we're still living this reality that doesn't serve us anymore, we need to find our power. And I don't know how that is for every person, because we're all individually different. We have to find our power to break free from those things and to step into the truth of who we are now. We have to step back into our own inner child and give that inner child what it needs and the guidance that it needs. And this comes through, like with reprogramming the subconscious mind and stuff. This comes through repetition. This comes through meditation. This comes through affirmation as well when it comes to these things, and this comes through understanding where this pattern came from in the first place, because you can't just go chopping down the tree. You have to go dig up the roots if you really want to be able to grow anything in that area. Okay, so in our grounding, that's what's going to be the grounding thing for us. Again, like I said, with this Scorpio full moon energy, there's a lot of shadow work and digging up roots and the things that we don't like, but it's so worth it. So you have to be grateful for this Scorpio energy, because it's willing to go the distance and take you into the depths of that which you wouldn't really venture into on your own. For most of us. All right, so what happens though in that grounding energy when we step into that? As you see the devil here, we also have the Two of Swords, the things that have been needing to be confronted, but we also see a sense of peace that comes along with this. We see the Ace of Wands, which brings us our expansion and opens up to all this energy to be able to create. Oh my God, the feeling of stepping outside of fear is so strong right here. It's like this breath of fresh air is what I'm getting. And so it's like when it comes down to the devil, dude, like, it's just, it's so crazy. Like, you break free of all these fears and you all of a sudden experience the abundant, beautiful, amazing, peaceful, healing creature that you are. And you realize that all these thoughts, like, all these old things that were holding you back, the fears, the doubts, the other people's voices and opinions, whatever it is, you feel the weight of those being freed. You feel your true self. And my God, it's so amazing to feel that. Like, whoo. It's coming in, everybody. It's coming in. So with the Princess of Discs, this is the one who is comfortable with who they are. So yes, you are shedding all the old skin. This is it. This is it. Shedding all the old skin. When it comes to this moon here, this is our final phase in the movement. So here we go with all that. So the Princess of Discs is all about our stepping into our new projects and things that are going to be built in the physical world. The Ace of Wands is about the creative energy that we feel because we were able to release those old patterns and things that were holding us back, the blockages. And with the swords here, we feel a peace of mind in knowing that things are going to work out in our favor and in the way that they're supposed to be. All right, so moving into what we're releasing here, we have oppression, okay? We got the Knight of Discs, we got the Princess of Wands, and we have the Seven of Discs, which represents failure. So we have failure and oppression here. What is your idea of failure? Failures are just lessons, and we've been taught in this world, even through elementary school and on up and everything, that failing is the worst thing you can do. You have to get a good grade on this. You have to get at least a 60%. Failing is the way we learn, If you don't fail a few times, you're not going to know how to step into this world with a strength. You know what I mean? You're not going to know what doesn't work. And so we can't, we've been striving in this life to be perfect, and we've been striving for perfection. And all the while we've been looking at ourselves and being shameful of our failures, when in reality, the failures that we're having are actually just the lessons that we need to be able to carry on and to be able to become the people that we're supposed to be able to put the gift in the world that we're supposed to be putting out there. And so I like here with the devil and the 10 of Wands here, we see again, just the oppression, the things that are holding us back, the things that are keeping us in this limited mindset and keeping us from experiencing the truth of the abundance and the limitless creatures that we are. So with the 10 of Wands here, one of the things that we recognize is that things have been being done the same way for a long time. And I know that's a lot of people's excuse to stay in the same spot is, well, I've always done it this way. Okay, well, you know what? The only thing that's constant in life is change. So if you're not changing, then you're denying your right to life. You're denying your right to live. You're denying yourself the right to experience, to grow. And so these things, it's not like chasing, don't blindly chase change. Don't do that. But when you can feel, once you tune into yourself, you can feel when it's time for things to change. You know what? Even if you're not tuned into yourself, you can feel when it's time for things to change. And do you know how that is? Because we'll find ourselves complaining about things. We'll start to feel discontented about things. Our life is always and constantly speaking to us in all these different manners. And so we have to open ourselves up to recognizing the languages. And this is what I mean when I say we are learning to speak many different languages. Life is always speaking to us. If you're complaining about something, it's time for it to change. If you are in a position of feeling, because we have all the power, and that's what this oppression card comes to, is feeling powerless. Feeling like because we've done these things this certain way that we can't move. And then the devil card comes into the fears that bind us into the position of feeling that way in the first place. And so when we come down to it, we have also the Knight of Discs and we have the Princess of Wands. So the Knight of Discs says just be patient with yourself. There's no rush. You're not going to wake up tomorrow unless you do some type of crazy shamanic plant journey or plant medicine journey or something like that. We're not, or have some type of epiphany or something crazy happen. But for most of us, we don't just wake up in a day and figure out that this isn't the way things are supposed to be done. Even with those things, it still takes time to integrate. It still takes time to bring a soul understanding of what is going on. So slow and steady wins the race. We want to be patient with ourselves. We want to understand that these transformations and this undoing, the things that we're letting go, they take time. When you've been building these habits for 20, 30, 40, 60 years, it's going to take a while to be able to break them down and to be able to clear them out enough for you to start to really, really see big changes and stuff like that. But again, we see the Princess of Wands. This is the expansion of our creative energy. So we're erasing and clearing out and integrating the lessons of all that is standing in the way of us really experiencing our true power. Look at this chick, dude. She's hanging out, throwing this tiger by the tail, reaching for the sun, floating up in the middle of the air, just creating. This is your power. This is where you are. This is what you are clearing out for. So feel through the things that are coming up for you right now. Allow yourself to be in those feelings and stuff like that. Don't push them down. You'll just prolong your healing. All right. And so finally here, with what our subconscious influences are the Tower. Again, I told y'all Scorpio is kind of a rough one. We have the Tower coming in because when we can't see what habits and patterns we are breaking down, then we don't know how to change them. So life comes in with the old B-smack, knocks us down, presents us with situations that force us to change, that force us to see the reality of things, that force us into being uncomfortable so that it can force us to change into the things and people that we need to be. So yeah, the Tower sucks. It's a really crappy card. But at the end of the day, you with the Tower and stuff like that, you're just knocking down and breaking down all the old all the old thought processes, but it's a doozy. It comes in and some events happen and you're not prepared for them, and they shake things up, and everything you thought was reality and everything you thought was true just gets shaken down and turned into rubble. And so you can start building from that. But the point with the Chariot here too is the rebuilding, is to be able to rebalance things. The Chariot gives us the opportunity to understand that we have all of the powers within us, that we have the divine masculine and feminine with us, that we have the power to create and destroy within us, and that is even in our own lives. It brings the balance and this inner knowing of understanding that even with the destruction of the tower, the understanding that there is a balance that is coming along with it, and that this is necessary for us to be able to change and grow into the people that we're meant to grow into. Subconsciously, we're letting go of a lot of emotional stuff too. We're letting go of a lot of things that we've worked really hard for, relationships, jobs that were close to our heart, the different types of stuff, mentalities, identities, things like that. These things are all falling off to the wayside. So the Eight of Cups is all about just releasing something that has been that you've worked really hard on, and everything so hard on that you've built an identity around it. So this is again shaking down. That's part of what the Tower is coming for. The Tower is coming for your identity. The Tower is coming for who you think you are, who you've trained yourself to be, and is bringing you into who you truly are and who you were brought here to be. And so this is where the balance aspect comes in. So just be prepared. The Emperor is also just about saying that although these things feel random and these things feel awful at the time for a lot of us, that the Emperor is showing us that this is how we're taking control of our lives. This is how we're stepping into our true power. This is how we're becoming the versions of ourselves that we're meant to be. And this is how we are allowing ourselves to experience the truth of the power that we are. We're stepping into ourselves, y'all. And sometimes stepping into yourselves means stepping out of stepping out of these old things. And, so we're stepping into ourselves, and that's what it is. And so, you get to experience the truth of the power and stuff like that. And so in the subconscious aspect and everything, you already know that this is why it's happening. But from an egoic perspective, the ego wants to be comfortable, and the ego wants to keep us safe. So the ego is not a bad thing, y'all, like we've been taught. It's just, it's our safety net. It is our, it's our safety net. So it doesn't want things to change for us, because these things have always been safe, even if that's a bad relationship, even if that's sticking to things that are helping you grow. Those things have always still been safe. And trying something unknown, something that the ego can't see the outcome or result of, it feels threatened. But subconsciously, you know that you're stepping into your power, and subconsciously, you know why these things are breaking down. But it only feels difficult because it feels unsafe to the part of our mind that tries to keep us safe and that wants to feel comfortable. Advice wise, we do have the Six of Cups here. So the Six of Cups is all about looking at our past situations and drawing joy from those things, understanding, looking back at our old situations and stuff, and not only drawing joy from those things, but just remembering who you are, the things that you've always enjoyed in life, the person that you always wanted to become, the person that you knew you were before the world got its hands on you and told you that what you were wasn't enough, before the world got its hands on you and told you that that thing that you were doing isn't going to make money, before the world got its hands on you and told you that you needed to fit into this box. Who were you? Take some time to yourself to think back on that and to really feel that and everything. And if there's pain surrounding being that person, and shame surrounded surrounded by being that person and everything, look at where that pain came from. Did it come from your parents telling you certain things? Did it come from other people making fun of you? Where did it come from is the thing. Is we need to recognize this, and by recognizing where it came from, we can peel away these layers that keep you from being the true, beautiful, highest version of yourself that you know you are meant to be. All right, and so I'm going to get out the Native Healing Oracle here. The Native Healing Oracle is just some guidance to help you to pull through. So this is just some self-guidance and a little bit more of an overview and understanding of the types of energies that are happening here right now. And so some big cards, y'all. All right, what do we have? The throat chakra, number 37. Okay, so speak up, choose your words wisely, truth through love. The unspeakable is spoken, and the spoken never heard, but felt by the masses across the earth. This mandala brings powerful guidance and healing of the throat chakra. It is important to acknowledge the power of one's voice and the impact it may have on others, the collective consciousness, and your own vibration. The voice is a sacred portal to one's truth. This card brings a reminder that our truth is infinitely governed by the power of love. If there is no love within your words, how can you be speaking from the heart? Speaking one's truth is a powerful act, and it is one's actions that will reverberate across all levels of space and time. So allow the gateway of your heart to speak directly through the throat chakra, filtering all thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It is kind. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? Does it improve upon the silence? Shriti Sai Baba. All right, so there you have it, soul fam. This Scorpio full moon is going to be about clearing out all of the old energies, all of the things that have been put upon us that are not our own things. This comes through trauma. This comes through other people's thoughts, ideas, processes, things that have happened to us. So the big thing here is to feel through these things. Allow yourself to feel through the pain. Allow yourself to be angry. Allow yourself to experience the true feeling of what it is that you're feeling, because we have these emotions that come up for a reason, and we're taught that having these low grade vibrational like emotions and stuff like anger and like, you know, grief and things like that are negative and stuff. But, you know, we all process things differently, and those are all there for a reason. Anger, in my mind, is the fuel for change. When we're angry about something, when we become angry enough about something, we have the power. We awaken within us the power to change it, the power to move things. And so that's just the way of it. And so, as far as that goes, we just need to realize that we're moving into this new paradigm. This is the truth and the beauty of who we are is really about to shine out, and that's going to be the influence of the world. So I'm going to go ahead and post a meditation for that here in just a couple days. So thank you all so much for tuning into Mira D Tarot. If you are looking for your personal readings, I'll post a link down below to www.miradtarot.com for your personal readings and other inspirational tarot reading type needs and things like that. I'm offering a bunch of brand new packages and memberships as well that'll come in handy for y'all too if you want to get the daily video tarot insight, way to start the day, kind of like putting out the energy of what is going on out there and stuff like that, and what we can focus on for the day, keep us grounded. I am posting that on Instagram every day at Mira D Tarot. And so yeah, that's all I have for y'all today. So I hope everyone has a splendid and very cleansing, healing full moon. And after this, I can't wait to see all the shiny, glowy beauty that's flying around this world, because we've stepped into who we are. So until next time, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see y'all then. All right. Peace.